I feel like I've been putting off this video long enough, so I'm just gonna make it when I actually have the time to record. And there were three main things I wanted to talk about that happened to me, or I guess around me, but there were other people involved. One of which being someone who was 12 at the time. And we didn't know that this person was 12. We were under the impression that they were 13, and I was 14 or had just turned 15 at the time. So I didn't think being friends with them was that weird. However, the other people, we were the two youngest members, and the other people in our friend group were up to 18 that year. Jack would have been turning 17 that year. So that's why I thought it was important to talk about, even after a lot of this situation had passed and I was debating ever coming out about it, because I never really wanted to, but I feel like it's not really just about me anymore. After I would call them a victim, Cherry, the person who was 12 at this time. They had came out on Twitter about some of the things that had happened in our friend group from 2021, and the things they mentioned were his exposing us to self-harm and his showing us his lifted shirt and his ribs and stuff. So kind of just exposing us to self-harm, and also the idea of eating disorders. But there's also a lot of things that they didn't mention from this that I wanted to touch up more on. For starters, they said that this was a group chat, which was kind of true, but we switched to a server in the same day that we had met. And not long after we had been talking, Jack opened up about his sadistic fantasies to other people, and I definitely don't want to read it out loud, but it involves inflicting harm on someone. And if you truly want to know what that was, then I'm gonna put the message on screen. Yeah, I didn't see how wrong it was at the time, being the second youngest member in this friend group. But after we had switched to a server, the creator of the group chat deleted the original group chat that we had been talking in, because we met through a call in a server, and then the other members of the server had left the original one when we all got in context, because I'm derailing a bit, but all of us just kind of wanted friends. So when we had gotten that, we left the original server, except for one of the members, which being Jack. And he claims to have left the server, but he was kicked originally, and when he did actually leave the server, it was way later than he pretends it was, because one of his friends had convinced him to do it, or I guess ex-friends now. But basically, more on the server, this was the same day we met, and he had sent us a torture porn, I think, type fanfiction of Yuri and Monica from Doki Doki Literature Club. Us being the people in this now smaller server, including Cherry, who was 12 at the time. And I have proof that even though we had switched from the group chat to the server, that Cherry was also in the server, because we had all been on call together in the server, yeah. And there were also just a few instances that he did something that was inappropriate to do around someone you're 4 years older than, but being that the age gap was closer to around 5 years or 4.5 years, it makes it a lot worse. So, he had been talking about having watched, okay, this was on call, so I don't have any proof of it, but he had talked about watching Minecraft porn, and yeah, that's kind of funny, I guess, depending on your humor, but at the same time, it's not something I would want to talk about someone who is 4 years younger than me and a minor. So yeah, that's just one of the things I remember. And then 2 more things I wanted to bring up that happened in this friend group server were him planning to cut on call with all of us. Basically, one of the other members had told him, and this wasn't me or Cherry, but they had told him that he could get a knife from the dollar store, and he did, and he was planning to test it on call with all of us, including someone, which obviously, I don't think I have to restate it, but this person was 12, and he was under the impression that they were 13. And another thing he had said in this server was, he vented about his experience with Draggy, or Juno, as some might know them by. And he had said something along the lines of, he dated them because he thought they were more mentally mature and that it would help him heal. I don't know if it's ever been made public why he dated Draggy, other than him saying, oh, I was in psychosis, but he had told us that it's because it would help him heal. That's what, they had convinced him. And he made him seem I guess, less guilty when he had told us, which, in hindsight, that being around someone who was, so much younger than him that he thought was the same age gap with Draggy, or, I guess a bigger age gap, because, they were younger, and he would have been soon turning 17, the fact that he had said that around this child and not realize how fucked up it was to do so, yeah, it's just really off, and also, it's just, him kind of just admitting to his motive for dating Draggy in the first place. Besides that, Cherry hadn't made it to another group chat that we had. 2 of the members from the small server were invited to this group chat, and he had shown us, more private things, and he had showed us screenshots of him basically harassing his ex, more recent ex, but it wasn't Draggy, it was the one before that, who he was and has recently shown to be obsessed with. And there were other things that happened in this group chat, but I don't know if I can talk about it too much, considering I don't have the evidence for the group chat specifically anymore, because anything that happened later in our friendship wasn't backed up by my iCloud. But I will say that it was some not great things. I would say it was a big cause for concern. This is alleged, so don't take my word as fact, because I literally don't have the screenshots to back this up anymore, but from what I can recall, he had talked about, like, planning and disposing of something violent. I remember mentions of, like, towels and knives, and, I really can't, like, be too specific on this point, because not only was it, like, 4 years ago now, my memory is spotty, but also I don't want to make a claim that I can't back up. But, yeah, don't take that as fact, but that's my testimony with it all. And I just wanted to come out here because it shows that he clearly hasn't learned from any of his situations. Like, people can say, oh, well, Dragy was just a one-off thing because he had gone through a breakup at the time, but it wasn't just a one-off thing. There was Olive Bear, who he thought was 11, and there was Cherry, who was 12, and he thought was 13. Dragy, obviously. Yuri, who he had talked to for like 2 years, and they were like 3 years younger than him. So this is a pattern of behavior, and it's just something he's never addressed, because I feel like all of us just hadn't come out about it. But I really don't know what to make of this situation. Yeah. I never expected to come out about my personal experience on this channel, because I didn't think it was as serious as what some other people went through. But after Cherry had come out, I realized that I wasn't the only one harmed here. So, yeah.